Hello, and welcome to Retrospective Cinema, a podcast wherein we'll endeavor week after week to see the full filmographies of chosen directors. We'll interpret, critique, and discuss. I'm your co-host, Ryan Saylor.
And I am your other co-host, Annie Morell. And this week, we start our endeavor all over again with Federico Fellini's first film, Variety Lights. Here's a clip.
Basta, vagabondi! Ehi, che vagabondi e vagabondi, cari signori, qui si fa dell'arte, sapete?
Sì, dell'arte, avete capito, dell'arte!
Va bene, suona più piano. Voi due siete miei, non vi impegnate con nessuno, vi scritturo io. Good!
That was, once again, from Federico Fellini's Variety Lights, or more accurately, directed by both Fellini and Alberto Lattuada. This is my first time watching any Fellini. I'm going in knowing nothing about this man.
I'm very curious to ask all kinds of things then, but yeah, this is my fourth Fellini, but definitely the first time I've seen this film. I think it is worth talking about up front. Where you start with Fellini is a little up for debate. So this is his debut and it's co-directed, and he has 4 assistant director credits before this, but are you really gonna watch a Rossellini film and credit Fellini as the lead on that? Probably not. So anyway, this is what we decided on, and hopefully you're happy with that, dear listener. Up front, also, we are a full spoiler podcast. And with that out of the way, what do you think? What's your first impression of Fellini?
Truthfully, I think my first impression of Fellini was much the same as your kind of pseudo first impression of Paul Thomas Anderson. So let me explain what I mean here.
I'm curious.
When we watched Hard Eight, which neither of us had seen, Paul Thomas Anderson's first film, we did an episode on it, if you don't know what I'm talking about. When we watched Hard Eight, you said at one point that you weren't sure you could necessarily see in that film the level of director that we eventually get within that filmography, with PTA. And not having seen any Fellini, obviously I have no other reference points other than this film. And yeah, having just seen this, if I watched no other Fellini, I wouldn't say that this is a man to write home about. But, it's I think the caveat, it's co-directed. It's his first film, all the things. So yeah, I think from what I've read, there are themes within this film that he expands upon in later work. And if they're the themes that I liked within this film, then I'm very excited to go on with this project. But I do, my first impression, short version, meh.
I think that's reasonable. About halfway through your reference to Hard Eight, I realized where you were going, and that's actually relatively fair. I think this has some strong moments, this has some weak moments, and I think overall it's a bit of a mixed bag. I did ultimately like this, and I'm glad to talk about it here with you, but yes, I can understand why you're not immediately enamored with Fellini, but that'll be okay. I actually have had a Fellini box set. Criterion put out one for his 100th birthday a couple years ago. It's been sitting on my shelf. I was very excited with this marathon to finally dust it off and get to it. So in there, it also has a book about the films included. And on Variety Lights, essentially, it kind of breaks down the various opinions on how much Fellini did or didn't do. And so Lattuada said that Fellini was very involved. He wrote it, and then Lattuada, would block scenes and design scenes, and then check with Fellini on everything. So there was at least input every step of the way. According to Fellini, he did absolutely nothing. So, give and take.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I do think, having seen a little bit more, and especially heading toward something like Knights of Cabiria, I think I did see those seeds being planted here. But yes, this is definitely not the classic that so many of his films are.
Yeah, but I do think even though my overall abbreviated reaction to this is meh, I think there is a lot to talk about. Like you said, there are high points, there are low points, and things worth talking about. So I am excited to talk about it, even though I am tepid on how I feel about it overall.
You didn't see this and say, wow, I really want to dedicate the next 20 weeks of my life right now.
I'm trusting that, the majority of people who are into film are right. Maybe I'll hate Fellini. That would be a hilarious end to this, considering it's our longest
it could
series
happen
to date. Yeah, it could happen.
So if you're joining us and you haven't seen Variety Lights, it's named for the fact that this follows a variety act troupe in the dying days. I actually had no historical context on this, and I think it is an interesting element of the film that audiences would have been aware of in 1950. So back in the early days of film, there were theaters that, trying to get a bigger audience would start with some sort of live act, whether that be a comedy act or a variety show or something, and then it would go into the feature film. And then as the cost of renting a film went up, more and more theaters decided to do away with the live part of the show until eventually, I guess, we get the theaters that we have today. And so that context is embedded in the film. This variety act that we're following is in the dying days of that kind of tradition, and we see that the audiences are not so good anymore, the pay is abysmal, and everyone's kind of on their last leg. And so it follows this group, it mostly follows this one man,
Keiko,
as he continues to dream of getting big and the women interacting in his life. Do you disagree?
No, I think that's a very concise and accurate description of the general plot of this. Yeah, Keiko is definitely, at least ostensibly, our protagonist, even though I hate him a lot. I don't think we're meant to like him, to be clear.
No.
But me in particular, I hate him.
I think any question I had about that, the final moments, I think, put the nail in the coffin for his character. So I think the film lets us in on its opinion at the very end that it also does not like him.
I also think just throughout, we're not meant to like the. I think there are different moments where we're maybe supposed to like sympathize or empathize with him, but I do think he's kind of painted as a dirtbag throughout, and a dirtbag who is allowed to just act however, and people will just let him. Is really the long and short of it. But other character names that are relevant: Melina, his not wife, his mistress, his girlfriend, however you want to put it, who is also a performer in the same troupe. And then a newcomer who shows up at a show of theirs. The film begins with Keiko on stage in an absurd outfit that does not fit him, singing a silly song about a woman who is a goose. And we have Liliana, or Lily, who shows up to this show and is this young, aspiring performer with, let's be honest, no talent. He even says it at one point.
He's like, you can't really sing, can't really dance.
But hey, she got the Best Legs award. And that is kind of all she needs.
The film does a great job. It really shows, there's a lot of shots of her legs and her body and like what the audience is seeing, but I also never felt that the film was totally just objectifying her. I think it does a good job of making us aware of what's happening at any moment.
Oh yeah. Well, I think for me, like watching this as obviously a woman, as I only can.
Sure.
I found myself increasingly uncomfortable the times that she is on stage and clearly people are, men are leering at her for her body. And I do think that was intentional.
Yeah, definitely.
On the part of Fellini and Fellini et al. That was, I think, maybe the most effective part of this for me, was how kind of sick I felt every time that happened. Specifically the first time. So she weasels her way into this troupe because initially Keiko's like, no, get lost. Because it's not like they can pay more people. Like, they're struggling to pay the troupe currently, but she pays with her last dime. She pays for a carriage so that they don't have to walk miles and miles to their next destination, and that puts her into the fold. And they, I'm sure this is accurate to the time and to these types of shows, but like they just almost no rehearsal plug her into this show. The costume doesn't fit her. She has to wear this skirt because the pants don't fit her. And then the skirt comes off and she's just in her underwear on stage while she's trying to like learn the choreography in real time because she doesn't know it. And that's when men start to respond positively to the show finally. And then after that, the theater owner kind of takes notice and is like, she's going to be the show. And so they make her the show. She's singing this kind of like Hawaiian song, grass skirt, and her legs are out. And yeah, it was disgusting to watch her be okay with it too.
Right.
Because I do think her character was pretty okay with it because she was just getting attention. She was getting positive attention from the audience. And that's ultimately what she wanted from performing. She didn't care if her craft was good or not. And I think she never does by the end.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. And I thought that was a really interesting element of the film. By the end, she's still proud of what she's doing. She's like, I made it big. I'm in this troupe. And then we see, what she's doing in that show. And she's not singing or dancing. She's just there, barely clothed at this point. And the men from the audience are like reaching for her.
And she kind of lingers at the end of the stage.
Yeah, she like allows it. It's very interesting. Her character, I don't think the film condemns her at all, but she leans into it to her profit throughout the film.
And I don't think. Do you think the film should condemn her?
No, not at all. I think she's interacting with a society where the art is fading. I think we see that all around her, and so she makes what she can of it. But I was surprised to see it go in that direction, I guess.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, this came out in what, 1950?
Yeah.
And to have two male directors craft this character that, I think I didn't like her at many points as well, but I think is ultimately sympathetic for that reason that she's this young, naive woman who just wants to get into the industry at all costs. And yeah, people take so much advantage of her. I mean, I wrote down at one point, there's a character called the Duke who lets this troupe stay on his property for the night because he's very
wild sequence,
and we can definitely talk about more elements of it, but like he lets them stay in his mansion for the night and feeds them, and it's awesome. It's an awesome opportunity for them, but it is because he thinks that she's going to sleep with him. And when Keiko stops him from doing that, and who knows, I personally think she would have slept with him, and not for the reasons that some of the other characters say, which is, they call her like a slut for that. I wrote down for that character, for the character of the Duke, Harvey Weinstein. Like, just an immediate parallel to a much more recent era of film and performance. So yeah, I was very surprised to see those themes like pretty extensively explored. Happily surprised.
Sure.
Because I do think it condemns that behavior. The film does.
Yeah, Keiko does, insert himself because he has his own desires.
Yeah.
But if you run back that whole sequence without Keiko's insertions, the Duke's like, oh, I know this restaurant. Let me take you. And his plan was just to take her to his house that whole time. It's a mess. And even
Melina is in the room that Lily is staying in this house, in the Duke's house. And Lily's like, aren't you going to stay and like sleep with me, in this bed? And Melina's like, no, I don't want to be a third wheel. And even though I knew, the Duke's intentions, I was like, what does she mean, a third wheel? Like, does she think her husband's going to come in here, or not husband, but Keiko is going to come in here and do something with her? And then, yeah, she knew what was going to happen and kind of saw it as an inevitability. And also, I think she is one of the characters who comments on, Lily being a slut and like being the type of girl to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just
the film in a couple ways was shockingly modern, and I think it would have worked better if they kind of either went one way or the other, but both of the plot lines, one where Lily is doing what she can to succeed in a world where that's the only way she can find success, and Keko being this Marty Supreme is a relatively recent film, just this one-minded character going forward and kind of screwing over everyone in his path because he wants to succeed. Both those plot lines, I was like, you could make this film. I mean, it would stylistically be quite different, obviously, but the actual stories are very, very modern.
I do, like you're saying, I see a lot of potential in this and the themes it explores and the characters we see, but I do think it's first and foremost trying to still be a comedy.
Yes.
And so I think that's really difficult to parse those really serious, complex themes. And then the fact that, it's this goofy man who wears a beret and is not very successful. Yeah, it's a weird kind of discordant thing.
I think some of the comedy worked pretty well for me. Like everything around the sharpshooter just was in that cusp of like, oh, this could kill someone, that like it was funny but snapping me back to reality. But yeah, the more slapstick stuff, like when they keep getting dripped on, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. this water's still here.
Yeah. The goose, I will say, the goose. I love the goose.
Great goose.
Great goose. I love the man with his bespoke goose basket for carrying this goose. Yeah, no notes. That was perfect. But yeah, so much of the other kind of slapstick or kind of gaggy bits. I was like, what? Pick a lane with the tone here.
Sure, that's fair, and that might be a genuine consequence of the double vision between the directors.
Yeah, who do you think had which vision?
Well, so some of the thematic content, especially around Lily, I think I've seen in Fellini's other stuff that I have seen. So I'm almost hesitant to give this opinion because it's going to sound like I'm like, the things I like are this director and the things I don't like. But I do feel like it's a genuine possibility that Fellini was more in charge of some of the stuff that we're saying worked and that La Tuada went the other way. Now, I will say some of Fellini's films are very funny. On McCord is another that I've seen where I adore that film, and I'd say it first and foremost is a comedy, so that's not going to go away. But I think in this film, I'd say that might be how it was divided up, and I could be totally wrong.
I mean, just the fact that we have competing accounts from the two directors.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll never know.
One element of this film that I think is really worth bringing up is that it's in a moment of transition, I guess, for Italian cinema.
On the precipice?
Yeah, Italian neorealism was on its way out. We'd already gotten, I just talked about Rossellini, and I think I looked it up before this, and neorealism is counted as ending in 52, so a couple years after this, but we are at the end of it. And I think it is interesting seeing this film kind of go back and forth. There are these scenes where everything's clearly shot, small budget, on location, and the stories are all smaller and the characters are all very realized. And then there are some more heightened moments. I was surprised even at the number of large scale performances that we see through like their entirety. Like we often sit through a full number or a full dance, and that would be very atypical of those years. So it was interesting seeing a film coming out at a transition point and seeing that it clearly still had some elements of the popular movements around it, but was starting to veer into something new.
Well, and personally, those are the moments for me when the film tended to drag a bit in pacing. Because, I was like, well, why do we need to see this entire act?
Yeah.
And every time, and it's not that long of a film. I think it's like an hour 40.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The theatricality of the film seems at odds with the neo-realistic elements. So I think it just is coming out at a strange moment in Italian history where it kind of wanted to lean into its inspirations and also try some new things. I think those are at odds with each other.
Yeah, and so hard to tell between those being at odds and then directors potentially being at odds with each other.
Sure.
And even, Fellini wrote the story and co-wrote the screenplay, but Lattuada also co-wrote the screenplay. So, who knows? And he was clearly, well, maybe not clearly. He was probably senior to Fellini at that point, directorially.
Yeah, Lattuada had done a couple of films at this point and brought Fellini on. And in interviews, I mean, obviously you have the benefit of hindsight, but according to him, he brought Fellini on because he wanted Fellini's career to get bigger because he knew this was going to be a great artist.
Wow, what a charitable man.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of cool to be like, come direct this with me.
Yeah, to not relegate him to assistant directing as he had been doing prior, because that to me would make the most sense, but we would not be watching it if he had not done that. So
yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Alberto.
Inadvertently, he secured his name in the canon.
Yeah, because Lord knows, I've never heard of the rest of his films.
Yeah, I looked up for this because I too had no idea, but apparently at the time at least, Bandito had been a bit of a hit in Italy, and I think I did see on Letterboxd that Mafioso still has some fans, which would be a later film. But yeah, otherwise, mostly this second director has kind of faded into obscurity. It is interesting to think about, considering he would have been the actual name on this at the time.
I want to talk about Melina because I've referenced her, Keiko's girlfriend.
I did want to correct that. So she starts and ends as his fiance.
Okay. Well, and they have they reference at one point that they have a combined savings account, but Keiko has 200 in it.
Yeah, to her 48,000 or something.
Yeah, 4,800. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. They're more than just boyfriend and girlfriend. They're more committed to that, or at least Melina is more committed to their relationship than that. And she, I think at one point does reference when are we going to get married? And Keiko is clearly not wanting to commit to that for his other hobby of scouting young girls on the train.
Well, he's an impresario.
And he has a stack that he does uses as evidence. He's like, oh, see these pictures of these women? These are all women that I have helped with their careers, which, to me, with how the film ends, it's like, oh, so these are all women you tried to get with.
Right.
Maybe before you were with Melina, but probably some while you were with Melina. Ugh. Because he then tries to pick up another woman or talent scout another woman when he's back with Melina by the end of the film. But Melina, so I think we've established Keiko is not horribly talented. Lily is not talented or experienced. Do you think Melina has real talent? Do you think we're meant to believe that?
I think she has more than anyone else. Unfortunately, I don't know that we get a scene of her being incredible.
And I kind of wish we did.
Yeah, that is fair. But we do get that she's at least successful. She's the only one in the entire troupe that can manage money. And so when he leaves, she's the one that can hold it together. So I think in a way we see that she's something special, but it might not be, the way that you'd expect or possibly even want.
Yeah, I almost feel like so there's a scene where she is performing solo after Keiko has left her, and she's doing this bit of quick changes into various famous Italian figures behind the screen, and she pops up with a different fake beard and hat or whatever. And it's not, it's not showcasing talent, but there is a weird kind of sequence where initially there's one dude in the audience, and then the audience in general, but it definitely focuses on one dude in the audience who is not having it. He does not care about this. And then by costume change number 3, he's like, no, this is good. I like this.
I think that was more about the people around him started applauding, so he's like, whatever, like I don't think he would got more into it.
I felt that it was a genuine changing of opinion.
Well, maybe just the fact that I didn't feel that proves you right, that it didn't quite work.
Yeah, well, and that's, you're actually supporting the point I'm making.
Yeah.
But no, I think to me, the point of that scene was supposed to be perhaps that she had talent or had something on stage, and I just wish that it had been anything else other than that kind of bit.
I'm not sure if you're jumping around the context or if you don't have it. Do you know that Giulietta Messina, the actress, is Fellini's wife?
I did read that prior to this. I didn't know when I watched the film, but I did know.
Okay, so to me, there is a high chance that, if he's a first-time director and he's directing his wife, he might have just been like, look, she's great, and forgot to write
That's cute.
Scene.
Fellini's a wife guy? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, absolutely. They were married from 1943 to 1993 when he died.
Wow.
They were together 50 years. But yeah, I have had the privilege of seeing her in Nights of Cabiria, and I think Fellini gets better at using her as an actress. But
I do think she's good in this.
She is good.
And when she disappears, I kind of was like, oh man. in the middle, when Keiko leaves her for Lily, really awfully, as they're walking away from the Duke's mansion, Melina's father is also a part of the troupe, so she's a Nepo baby. And he kind of falls because they've been walking so much and they didn't fully get to sleep the night before. And Keiko is holding Lily up, and Melina's like, Keiko, wait. And he just does not care. And then we transitioned into Keiko and Lily are fully on their own away from the troupe.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see Melina for a healthy chunk of the middle of this film.
Yeah. So that one worked for me. There are some gaps in the film that I thought were interesting. I couldn't tell if we had some deleted scenes or if they just had jumped ahead and left some stuff. But there were a couple moments where the plot randomly jumps ahead, and I felt like I could have used some space. But that one did work because he's suddenly gone. Yeah.
Well, I liked that transition because in the moment I was thinking, oh, is he gonna kind of continue to string Melina on and pay attention to Lily within this troupe? And then it's like, no, he actually they just left fully. And honestly, I preferred that. A slightly more noble path, I suppose, though not a noble man by any means. And then he tries to start his own company without salaries.
Yep.
He tries to bill it to some prospective company members as it's a collective.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Man, so many things echo into today for me.
Getting paid in exposure.
Just how relevant they continue to be. Yeah, it's an internship actually. Come intern at my my vaudevillian troupe. And it doesn't work for people who are, actually for at least white people who are actually performers that he tries to proposition.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. He actually, once he builds this troupe, it's
literally a homeless Black American trumpeter and a Brazilian woman, presumably also homeless.
Yeah, you're so right. I kind of missed that he finds his exploitable workers in immigrants.
It's all immigrants. Oh, I immediately clocked that. I thought that was one of the things that I thought was, really progressive.
Sure.
The fact that, to me, it was so stark of oh, yeah, he just fully builds his new company on the backs of actually talented people. Because the trumpeter is a very good trumpet player. And the Brazilian singer and guitarist, Moema, I think is her name. Beautiful voice. She sings in the square and plays guitar, and it's lovely. And, meanwhile, he's a hack and also not a good business person. So, yeah, that was really, I was quite surprised by that turn of events. Go Fellini, woke king, Federico Fellini.
It is kind of already there. I really liked that scene where she's singing in the square, where you get this police officer that comes up, and I just kind of braced for impact. Like, all right, let's see it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone above is yelling for them to quiet down, and he's like, yeah, quiet down, but keep playing. I like this. And I was like, cool.
Yeah. And then she does not change her volume, which I thought was also kind of funny. Then he kind of finds more people through the trumpet player, including Buffalo Bill, ? The sharpshooter guy, who I suppose is white, probably, but it's just this ragtag. I mean, still, like, to be honest, I was like, oh, these are actually talented people. This could be interesting. This weird ballet choreographer lady who is Hungarian seems to be doing interesting stuff, and they're all kind of rehearsing, and the big draw of his company is Lily. She's the star. That's how he's sold this to her. And then she comes to him and is like, actually, I just signed a contract with your friend.
Which then, that was so funny because she says, they'll buy me out. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is how he's going to finally have the money to do this. But then his pride gets in the way and he's like, no, there's no need to buy out.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, I kind of thought, I do think that this man genuinely wants to be successful and wants to be a star. I think he has a lot of ego in that way. And that's very plainly in the text. I mean, the beginning, one of our first interactions with him is him being like, I've been in this business for 30 years. I'm a star. But I thought it was interesting that, he still kind of has potentially, like, he got the money from Melina to fund it. He has a whole company. And honestly, the Brazilian singer could have been probably the lead, the leading lady, or someone else. He could have found someone else. And he just goes back. He gives up. So to me, I was like, was it really just you trying to be with Lily? Was that the point of all of this?
Yeah, I think, especially we talked about this with our top 10 of the year, because Marty Supreme did show up on mine. And yours, actually.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, we talked about that. I kind of am down for horrible people to succeed in film. I think it's interesting. So once he had this, buddy that he'd pulled off this person and put this ragtag group together and everything, I kind of was like, all right, let's see it happen. And then, he just gives it up because his woman that he's infatuated with goes on to bigger and better things. Well, kind of. Once we see him, it's not actually anything special, but yeah.
Yeah, she has the veneer of success by the end.
So to answer your question, I guess he's only in it as long as whoever's into is in it.
Yeah, I do think it's probably half and half for him. And he was kind of like, well, why am I even doing it? Like, I might as well go back to my lady and the troupe before than like put in all this work if she's not even going to be here. I did like, so for much of the film, his outfit always includes a beret, and Lily even makes a comment at one point that like it's just not the right, like he's in these more formal suits and she's like, you shouldn't be wearing that, what you're dressed in. People aren't taking you seriously. And she buys him this honestly nice hat, puts it on him backwards initially, and he wears that when he's pursuing this new theater troupe dream. And then when she leaves and Keiko goes back to Melina, he's back wearing the beret again.
Yeah.
We're back at square one. This very visual representation of him truly not growing at all through the course of this. And then that's further amplified by the fact that he then hits on the lady on the train once his wife is not, or once his fiance is not there. So yeah, a man who learns 0 lessons and a woman who gets, I guess, laundered by the industry at the time, ultimately, I think is where we get from the end. Like, it's kind of a tragic end. I know it's played somewhat for comedy, that it's like, oh, here he goes again.
Get a load of this guy.
Get a load of this clown. But yeah, ultimately, like, I think about our 3 main characters, Keiko, Lily, and Melina, and Keiko has done 0 internal growing and 0 growing of his career. Melina goes back to Keiko, even though she has this awesome scene when he's begging her for money, where she's initially just like, no, I'm not gonna let you do this. You're not gonna pay me back. Like, I will not have it. And then you know, she clearly cares very much for him, clearly loves him. So she does ultimately relent and give him the money. And it's this beautiful kind of little emotional moment from her. But yeah, then she ultimately takes him back, which, you know, I get to some extent. So Melina is back in this cycle. And then Lily is kind of in a skin show at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's, as you said earlier, barely clothed as this kind of featured performer, and she's wearing like pasties and underwear basically and feathers next to this famous woman, and that's where we're at, and no one's happy. So to me, I'm like, this is a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tragic end for all three of these people.
Yeah, I wish this film didn't have the slapstick elements, because yeah, the actual crux of the story is pretty intense and still hits, and I like our characters. I like their arcs, or, you know, lack thereof, and the intentionality of that. And I mean, just talking about it, yeah, I mean, you might expect me to probably score this a lot higher than I'm going to, because yeah, I do think a lot of the elements of this film are very impressive, and I also think that a lot of it doesn't quite work because of the tone management and because of the pacing. I mean, those long performance scenes are long and
Yeah,
really break the tension of this film. But yeah, there is a lot of good here.
yeah, it shows a lot of potential, and
Mm-hmm.
ultimately is kind of warring within itself, in my view.
Yeah.
The only performance I liked the man as a duck, the duck man, not part of their show. It was like a different, better show. Loved that. All the other ones I did not care about.
I liked the guy eating glass, and then people not being into it, and his genuine offense that like people weren't into real art as he's, you know, eating glass. I thought that was good.
That was good. Do you think he was eating real glass?
I'm not sure if he was or wasn't, but he seemed so taken aback that people, you know, weren't respecting the art of eating glass.
You do get a lot of characters that exist in the real performance and acting space within this different archetypes of actors and performers. And yeah, the man who is so dedicated and thinks no one gets his art is definitely one of
classic.
them. The lady who has no talent and is just kind of hot is also one of them. and skates by on hotness alone, on that pretty privilege,
mm-hmm.
is one of them. So yeah, I mean, I do think this is maybe a little more fun, kind of similar to, people have been saying this a lot about The Studio, Seth Rogen's show on Apple TV, that if you are more on the inside of it, I think there's a little more enjoyment to be had, even in this case where it's about a vaudevillian troupe. I agree with you in that the way we've been talking about it, it's one of those where I'm like, I think it sounds like I like it a lot more. With that, would you recommend this film?
I would, and I think I know where you're headed, but I think there is enough here that I liked it. I think I did have the additional benefit of being like, okay, I've seen some films by this person that I really like. Let me see where they started. So, you know, it's hard to tell how much that affected my opinion of the film, but I ultimately do have a positive score on the film regardless. I think there is enough here that I really connected with, even if I think the ultimate presentation has some to be desired. I would ultimately. What about you?
Nah. I think there's a lot of potential, and I also, you know, am assuming that potential goes a lot further and a lot more of Fellini's films. And so just yeah, I'm gonna have to say you can skip this one. You know, I think there's a lot of cool stuff here. I think it's commentary on the sort of fetishization and commodification of minorities and women. Those bits of commentary are so cool for, you know, a film that is this old. I think the commentary on just like how art kind of slowly dies and changes is cool, but these are all kind of secondary to unfortunately to our characters individual goals and also the slapstick of it all. So the film ends with the Italian word for end, which is spelled Fine, and that's how I felt. I was like, nah, yeah, this was fine. It was fine. It was a fine time.
Oh no, that's funny.
Yeah, so no, but you know, if you're like, where'd this man begin? And you know, can a goose fit in a basket? Then maybe definitely watch this one.
If you're a big glass eater and you just feel like no one's respected your art until now,
you might feel really seen.
Yeah.
By this. Actually, you're not original at all.
Well, that starts our journey. If you're joining us here, we have several months ahead. I hope you stick around. Next week is The White Sheik. This is Fellini's first solo directorial work. He convinced financiers from Variety Lights to let him fund that one, so excited to see it. It'll be a first watch for me. I think everything will be a first watch for you.
Yep. I've never seen a movie before.
If you agree or disagree with anything we've said here, or you just want to talk, or you want to get us hyped for so many classic pieces of cinema that we're going to see, you can write to us, retrospectivecinemapodcast@gmail.com. We have a TikTok and Instagram at retro_sin, CIN. We're also on Letterboxd. I'm at Ryan Loves Film.
And I'm at Annie Morell over on Letterboxd. Whether you're seeing Wuthering Heights in quotation marks, as I certainly will not be at this point, or watching Pillion, which I'm absolutely going to see as soon as possible.
It's not coming to Bakersfield, it seems, unfortunately.
Oh, what a homophobic town.
Yeah, A24 limited releases are increasingly not coming to my town, and I did wonder if that was the deciding factor on this one.
Or like, oh, it's gay stuff? Absolutely not. Whether you're watching that or, yeah, I don't know, Heated Rivalry people talk about, I still haven't seen it.
There you go.
Happy watching. Horny watching.
Oh, no, yeah. We did
Actually, all three of those things are very horny. Or
it's Valentine's Day. Lovely watching.
Oh, lovely horny watching. Yeah.
Watching with your partner. Watching.
Sweet tandem watching.
Tandem watching.